Now, this Fox News alert, the White House saying Vladimir Putin has been invited to make an official visit to Washington this fall as President Trump reaffirms the tough position he will take if diplomacy with Russia fails.
Getting along with President Putin, getting along with Russia is a positive, not a negative.
Right.
Now, with that being said, if that doesn't work out, I'll be the worst enemy he's ever had.
Let's go live to Kevin Corke. He's at the White House right now. Kevin?
John, the White House is eager to keep the momentum going, which is to say they'd like to build on some of the positives that came out of that Helsinki summit with an eye toward further and future cooperation between our two countries. Let me take you back to Twitter so we can show the folks at home what got all this ball rolling, at least from a public perspective. Obviously, the White House has been working on this for quite some time. Sarah Sanders saying this in Helsinki. The president agreed to ongoing working level dialogue between the two Security Council staffs. Then she said this, he asked Ambassador Bolton to invite President Putin to Washington in the fall, and those discussions are already underway. Now, for his part, the president, who's repeatedly said, look, getting along with Russia would be a good thing, is also clear-eyed, we're told by White House officials, about the need to keep applying pressure on Moscow.
I have been far tougher on Russia than any president in many, many years, maybe ever. Even the big fight I have with Germany over the fact that they're taking natural gas, they're taking energy from Russia, paying them billions of dollars. But look at the sanctions I've put on. Look at the diplomats I threw out. Look at all of the things that I've done. Nobody else did what I've done. Obama didn't do it.
Meanwhile, Chuck Schumer, senator from New York, Democrat, out on Twitter saying this, John, no surprise here. He said, until we know what happened at the 2-hour meeting in Helsinki, the president should have no more one-on-one interactions with Putin in the United States, in Russia, or anywhere else. Meanwhile, Secretary of State Mike Pompeo has been out talking about this. He said this is an opportunity for us to, again, understanding, John, what the Russians are all about, to still try our very best to advance the agenda of this country and the American people. That is the posture they have today, and that will be the posture as we look forward to the fall when Putin apparently will be coming right here. Back to you.
November is going to be interesting. Kevin Corke. Yeah. Thank you, Kevin.
President Trump signed an executive order to promote new career opportunities in America as some big-name companies pledge to help by training 3.8 million workers.
By signing the pledge to America's workers, these great companies, and they are great, these are the greatest in the world, are affirming their commitment to train American workers for American jobs. Because America's strength, America's heart, and America's soul is found in our people. More than anything else, it's in our people.
Mick Mulvaney is the Director of Office of Management and Budget. He joins us now from the White House. Mick, good morning to you.
Good morning.
So
thank you for having me.
This is huge news and quite frankly positive news. 3.8 million workers, these companies are committing to creating jobs. I mean, this could really change things. How do you see this playing out?
Oh, a couple different ways, and again, like you said, all of it is positive. Keep in mind, that's 3.8 million additional apprenticeships, additional job training programs. This is all new stuff they announced yesterday, so it was things they've committed to over and above what they were going to do. Anyway, it was a tremendous meeting. I had a chance to be fortunate enough to go yesterday, and while the stories of all of the businesses and the trade associations that have committed to all these retrainings was fantastic, and it absolutely was. The highlight of the meeting for me was to see the folks who were actually there, the single mom, the older vet, the folks who have been through retraining programs, folks who have lifted themselves up and moved themselves into the middle class. That was the really emotional part of the meeting for me. So the businesses are absolutely critical. We're absolutely ecstatic to have them on board, but it's the resiliency and the desire of those individuals that is really going to make the big difference.
We're running a banner that FedEx and General Motors are among the companies on board. What other companies are taking part in this?
Oh, I mean, it's hard to go down the list. I think you all mentioned Walmart at the bottom of the last hour. Raytheon was there yesterday. Ford was there yesterday. FedEx was there yesterday. UPS was there yesterday. And then you add to that a lot of the trade associations. The Associated Builders and Contractors were there. The building trade unions were there. The hospitality folks were there. So those associations represent sometimes hundreds of different companies. So it really was a national effort yesterday. And we're very excited about the potential that it holds.
I'll make the point that Charles Payne was making last hour, and it's an important one to make. There are currently more job openings than unemployed workers in the United States right now. And surely these companies see it to their benefit to get on board with this because they're having a hard time fulfilling a lot of these positions. Do you think that this changes the mentality that you have to have a college education in this country to get a good job?
Oh, sure it does. The story, I think, again, you talked about last hour, the shortage of welders that we had. I was talking last night where I had dinner 2 nights ago with the head of the building trade unions. He was telling me that a glazier, a guy that really knows how to, or a woman who can put up glass, a professional in that area can earn, several $100,000 a year. These are really, really good jobs. He said that a golden arm welder, who's somebody who's certified to weld pretty much anything, can make $250,000 a year. These are really, really good jobs. Listen, for a long time, and rightly so, we emphasize education in this country, and absolutely, this is not about being anti-education. It's simply saying, look, college is not for everybody. College is not the automatic way to the middle class, or the upper middle class for that matter. Different folks are good at different things, and I think what you've seen the president do, and Ivanka take the lead on, is point out the fact that you can be successful in this country in a bunch of different ways.
And those are companies that are all over this country: FedEx, GM, Home Depot, IBM, Lockheed Martin, Microsoft, Walmart, 16 other companies, and obviously those trade groups that you mentioned. Mick, I got to move on to the president making some news here in an unprecedented move. The United States president making comments on interest rates in the Federal Reserve. Watch this.
I'm not thrilled. Because, we go up, and every time you go up, they want to raise rates again. And I don't really, I am not happy about it. But at the same time, I'm letting them do what they feel is best. But I don't like all of this work that goes into doing what we're doing.
It's pretty rare to have a president make a comment like that.
It's actually not unprecedented. Reagan did it. I'm sure most presidents have thought it. There's nothing non-factual or inaccurate about the statement. The president's not happy. Look, I'm not happy. A lot of economists, supply-side economists, are extraordinarily frustrated that the Fed, which is a demand sort of driven analysis, will always pump the brakes just when things start to get good. Now, they say they're worried about inflation. That's great. But remember, inflation is too much money chasing too few goods. And when you're in an expansion caused by the supply side, which is where we think we are, you tend to see less inflation. Again, there's too much money, too few goods, but if you're making more goods and that's what's driving your growth, you don't have to worry as much about inflation. And we think we've seen that in the actual numbers. So believe me, the President of the United States is not the first president, nor is he the first Republican, conservative, or Democrat who is frustrated that every time things seem to start getting a lot better, the Fed pumps the brakes.
Did the president in any way try to influence the decision-making of the Fed with that statement?
No, in fact, I'm hearing that for the first time. I saw some tweets about it this morning, but the statement was he absolutely respects the independence of the Fed, which he does. But that doesn't prevent him or previous presidents from voicing their opinions.
Well, there was a market reaction to that, which is why I would want to ask today. The dollar certainly moved on this. It fell, dragged down stock index futures ahead of the open. Now things have calmed down a bit. Right now you're looking at a Dow that's up 25 points right now. But certainly there have been 2 rate hikes this year. There's another 2 that are expected before the end of 2018. That surely wouldn't make the president happy.
Listen, the president's very happy about the fact that we're doing extraordinarily well. The plan, the Maganomic plan of tax reform, tax cuts, deregulation, energy policies, everything we've done, everything we said that would get us to 3% growth looks like we're getting us there. So I know he's extraordinarily happy that that's happening, as is everybody who's working in the country. So no, we're not too worried about it. The policies are still there. We're still growing the economy. We just wish the Fed would give some thought to the supply side of the economy every now and then.
And as far as Jerome Powell is concerned, the president's pick to run the Federal Reserve, good relationship still there?
He's fine. In fact, I work with Chairman Powell in my role at the Bureau of Consumer Financial Protection, see him on a regular basis. We sit on a couple boards together. Think he's a fantastic guy doing a good job.
Well, this stock market is still up 31% under this president. It continues to have that upward trajectory, and that's led to a lot of optimism on Main Street as well as Wall Street. Mick Mulvaney, thank you for coming on the program this morning. Hope to have you back.
Thanks again.